If you're looking to start an online business in 2025, this video is for you. I'm going to be showing you my entire process of going from zero to over $13 million in e-commerce sales in the past 5 years. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Steven. I've been doing e-commerce for the past 7 years. I've done about $4 million with traditional dropshipping and over $9 million with branded dropshipping. Traditional dropshipping is basically where you go on AliExpress, find a random product, and try to sell it with Facebook ads. That method is pretty outdated, and for the most part, it doesn't work in 2025. The method that I'm going to be showing you guys is called branded dropshipping, and this is what I've been doing for the past 5 years. It's the reason I've been able to build multiple successful 7-figure brands while at the same time not having to worry about a ton of competition coming over to crash my business overnight. Now I'm going to flex a little bit and actually show you guys while I'm recording this video. You can see I'm literally making thousands of dollars off my stores, which is pretty incredible considering I barely touch the businesses, maybe put in a couple hours a day at most. And this is exactly what's possible if you put your head down and just grind for a couple months. Now, I've made a ton of mistakes on my journey, and I've kind of consolidated all of those into this video so you guys don't have to make the same mistakes as me. Ultimately, this is going to help you shortcut your success by months, if not years. The best part about this business model is that customers will keep coming back and give results like this. And you can see here that customers are coming back to buy insane lifetime values worth of product, which basically means we don't have to spend as much money on marketing, and it's going to lead us to having much higher profit margins than traditional dropshipping. Now, it's really important you guys watch through to the entire video because I'm going to actually show you step by step on how to launch your store using AI, which is pretty insane with the tools out in 2025. I'm going to show you guys how to launch ads. I'm going to show you guys how to find the right niche and start making your first $1,000 online. All I ask is if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like down below and subscribe to my channel. I've got a ton of content planned for you guys, so I definitely don't want you guys to miss it. With that being said, let's get straight into the video. Now that we've hopped on the computer, you can see I've made a really detailed roadmap for you guys, and this is updated for 2025. So if you watched another one of my older videos where I show this roadmap, definitely watch this one because some things have changed. The first thing we want to do is go and build a Shopify store. To do that, we need to have a proper name for our store. Now, I want to quickly explain the strategy going into building the store. We're not actually going to go specifically for one niche or one product. We want to be able to be flexible and be able to add a ton of different types of products into our store. If one niche doesn't work, it's going to be easy for us to pivot to another. That's why we like to use easy to remember real words like Impulse Modern, which was actually one of my previous stores, which started out as a general dropshipping store, but then we moved it into an anxiety ring store. To come up with these names and to find proper domains, we're going to use Namelix and ChatGPT. Make sure to click the link in the description to get this Miro, and we're going to actually open up this special link right here to get into Namelix. And we're going to enter a few general keywords. The keywords we're going to type in include shop, general, modern, impulse, and easy. Now for the name style, we want to select evocative because this is going to give us the closest match to what we're looking for. But if this still doesn't work, you can play around with some of these other options like real words or short phrases. Now we're going to click next, set the randomness to medium, and then we're going to click generate. Okay, now that it's loaded, we want to look for the ones that have a green.com domain available. You can see all these brand names, not all of them have a .com. But the ones that we want are the ones that do have a .com. I actually already see a domain that I like, so we're going to check how much this domain actually costs, and we're going to search that up on GoDaddy. So you can see here, Wildly Original is available, and to my surprise, it's available for 50 cents, which is kind of crazy because I've been looking for about 30 seconds. This typically takes me like way longer, but here we go. I really like this name just because it can really mean anything, and it can range from anything from like a beauty niche all the way to jewelry. Doesn't really matter. People are not going to really question if it's, a jewelry brand if I say Wildly Original. Now that we have our name, Wildly Original, we're going to create a brand new Gmail account. So if you go into the sign in tab right here on Google and then click create account, make sure it's for personal use. For your first name, you can literally put anything. But in my case, I'll just put Steven. And for the username, you can do something related to your shop, like wildlyoriginal@gmail.com. If that one's not available, in our case, Wildly Original is taken, so we can do Wildly Original Official So in this case, we can put official behind the name and we should be good to go. Okay, once you type your password in, it's going to ask you for a phone number to verify. And once you put that in, get the code, you're actually able to accept and agree. We're going to agree to the privacy and terms. And now we have our fully functioning Gmail account. The next thing we're going to do is hop onto that Shopify link in the description and use this Gmail to make the account. So we're back on Shopify. We're going to click start free trial. We're going to put in our email and password and create the Shopify account. As for what we want to sell in this questionnaire, we're going to click online store and online marketplaces. For what describes it doesn't matter. I just say I'm already selling online or in person, and none of these really matter. For the type of products that we plan to sell, we're going to click dropshipping products and we're going to click products I buy or make myself. As for the plan that we want to use, we're going to select basic because you don't need anything else. And we're just going to quickly put our credit card information and create the store. Now we're in our Shopify store. The next thing that we need to do is actually come up with some products to sell. So I'm actually going to dive into the Miro and give a very high level detailed overview of how we're selecting a niche, the specific tools we're going to be using to select a niche, and ultimately how to find the winning products that you're going to add to your store. Now, before we get into the nitty gritty, I'm going to go on to niche selection first and come back to the product selection so that you guys can get a better idea. A lot of this will start making sense as I start talking about the niche. This is exactly how I've been able to make so many profitable brands that have tons of repeating customers. Basically, what we're doing is we're combining two large niches and creating what I call a super niche. We want to find two really large niches that overlap. In that center are a huge audience of people that are highly passionate, and that's exactly what we want to target. And so in this example, you can see we're taking a kawaii aesthetic, girls who love buying Sanrio, having everything pink, and then we're combining it with something else that is also in a tangentially related niche, which is gaming for girls. And if we combine those two together, we get kawaii gaming. Now, this isn't the only example, right? These are two smaller niches. Gaming is relatively big, but kawaii aesthetic is not super big. Another big example could be fashion and skincare. And we can see this with Starface, which basically combines skincare and fashion. And they found this pocket of people in the middle who absolutely love the little stars and random designs that they can put on their face, but also have acne. The reason this works is because when people have two of their main passions or problems combined into a single solution, they feel like they're really spoken to, and it's much more likely that they're going to purchase that product. I'm going to give you guys a few more examples just so you can really dial this in when you're doing your product research. Another example is Light My Bricks. They're basically a pocket of people who love Lego and interior home decor. So basically what this product does is it allows you to light up your Lego sets so that you can literally display it as a piece of home decor in your house. So you can see all the crazy kits that they have available, and it's super cool for people who love Lego and also love to decorate their house. Just from that simple idea alone, Light My Bricks, they make around $10 million per year because they're at the unique intersection of home decor and Lego. Now we have a lot more examples, so I'll go through some of these. You can see here, this is an example of combining streetwear culture with anime culture and combining it in a product that appeals to an audience that likes both these things. So this is a Dragon Ball Z figure wearing Nike shoes. I would not advise selling this because it's pretty copyright, but you kind of get the point. This is the Nintendo Switch case that's in a kawaii themed art that I talked about earlier. This is a anxiety ring, and basically what it combines is fashion and a solution for biting your nails. Next, we have a Air Jordan 12 clock. So this combines home decor with Air Jordan lovers. This is a fidget spinner. However, I included this as an example of what you shouldn't probably sell unless you just want some quick cash grabs. The reason for this is because this product doesn't really have a specific niche that it's appealing to, and it can be very short term. Another product that I included that is not good to sell would be something like these exercise bands. You can see it everywhere on Amazon, and you aren't really unique at all selling them. Even if you can sell this product, it's going to be very, very hard to stand out and build a long-lasting brand out of it. If you wanted to sell something like this, I would highly recommend, changing the design or changing the color so that it matches some specific passionate audience. So for example, you could create exercise bands that are anime themed, and now you've made a unique product. I've included this product right here, which is actually one of the products I've sold in the past. Although I sold a lot of units, I don't recommend selling it again because of the logistical issues. It's a levitating shoe display, and there's a magnet inside, and this magnet would literally smash up the entire product during transit, and it was super heavy to ship. Overall, it was just not worth the headache. Now, this is one of my favorite products that I'm currently selling. It's Medjool Dates, and the reason I like it is because it has extremely high lifetime customer values. Customers who buy this product will likely come back to purchase over and over, and on my store, I've had people spend literally thousands of dollars over the past few years. Okay, so now that you guys have a better idea of what I'm talking about when I'm saying a winning niche and winning product, let's go into the specific criteria that we're looking for. First, it needs to be in a growing niche, and the way that you can determine that is by going on Google Trends and literally just searching that niche up. So for example, let's search up Pilates, right? If we just search this key term, set the countries to worldwide, and we want to do the past 5 years just to see the trend that this niche is going towards. So you can see Pilates is a growing niche, which is really good. What you don't want to see is something like fidget spinners, because if you zoom back to when it really started popping off, you can see here in May 2017, that's when I was selling fidget spinners. During this time, it peaked a ton and then it dropped so much. So basically what this created in the marketplace was an excess of supply. You have to think that the supply chain is always catching up to the demand, and there will always be an oversupply of things when things spike up really quickly and drop just as quickly. So back in 2017, everybody wanted a fidget spinner, and then there was a huge shortage. So all the factories decided, hey, let's go ahead and produce as many fidget spinners as humanly possible. Okay, great. Once all the fidget spinners were produced, it had already been like a month or two since the peak of the trend, and things started to die down. So all these excess fidget spinners are just sitting around in warehouses and nobody knows what to do with them. So you're going to find fidget spinners for extremely cheap because no one's really buying them anymore. The next thing we want to look for is that the product either addresses a passion or solves a problem. And ideally, if it can combine both, that's what creates a really powerful product. And of course, with this, you saw that with all of the niche and product examples that I showed you. The next thing we want to talk about is it has easy logistics. This means you don't want products that are too heavy or too fragile, because if you're going to be shipping it a long distance, if it breaks, you're going to be the one that's liable for dealing with it. Moreover, products that have a lot of different variants can be a pain in the ass as well. I personally know this because I ran a fashion brand that stocked clothing sizes from extra small all the way to 3XL. And you can see in our warehouse, it's a complete mess. And I highly don't recommend it for a beginner for sure. Now, there's one caveat to this. If you're selling a smaller item, it is okay to have a lot more variants just because of the fact that it's a lot easier to store smaller items. So even if you have 5 variants, you can store them all within the same box. The next thing we want to look for are things that have high profit margins. And ideally, we want to look for a gross profit margin of about 80%. And I'm going to leave on screen the formula that you can use to calculate your gross profit margin. You can also use ChatGPT for it. Finally, the last criteria is that the product should have some sort of factor that makes it easy to go viral. So is it something that has a unique feature or some sort of wow factor, or maybe even something that's easily demonstratable? We want that novelty factor where people see it for the first time and they go, wow, this is a cool product. If you aren't in the specific target demographic of this product, then you should probably ask someone who is in that demographic if they've seen this product or not. There's a lot of times where you might see a product that you think, wow, this is super cool. But when you actually go to sell the product to an ideal customer, they don't really budge an eye because they've already seen this a million times. So do your research to make sure that this product isn't already super widely sold in your market or something that people have seen a million times. So we have a high level overview of what we're looking for. Now let's go into the actual actionable methods that we can use to find our next winning product. The first method is really simple, and all you have to do is create a brand new Instagram account on your phone and then literally start saving posts that are related to the niche that you're in. So, for example, if I wanted to get into the fashion niche, I would start searching keywords like high heels and search specific product related keywords in that niche. And you save all those product specific videos. So, for example, I'll show you here. Vice versa, this is a brand in the fashion niche, right? And they sell these really unique high heels that solve a problem, but also appeal to the fashion lovers. All you would do is click the little save icon and you do that across maybe 20, 30 posts. And after that, your For You page is going to start firing with just nonstop winning products and really interesting niches. So the next free way of doing product research is actually using Etsy. But there's some caveats that are really important that you guys need to pay attention to. So the first thing that we need to do is open up Etsy in an incognito tab. And most of you guys know how to do that, but if you don't, it's Command Shift N on Mac and Control Shift N on Windows. Once we hop onto Etsy, we're actually going to be able to see some really interesting products just from their homepage alone. And these are products that are really unique, but you might be wondering, okay, these are small businesses making their items and it's probably not available on AliExpress. Well, the good news is basically everything can be produced in China. And what we're really looking for are unique or interesting product concepts and things that are kind of following the criteria that we were talking about earlier. What we're going to do is try to test these products and validate them through ads. If things work, then we'll actually move production over to China. And I'll show you guys how to do that later with a specialized agent. This method is completely free and you can get some really insane ideas out of it. My really good friend who I actually ran multiple seven-figure brands with, he found a product on Etsy and right now he's doing 7 figures a month with that. So it's actually insane the kind of products that you can find. There's a huge arbitrage opportunity on Etsy and basically all these sellers that are starting small businesses, they don't really know how to market direct to consumer, which is why they're on Etsy in the first place. The whole idea is you're going to find these validated concepts on Etsy and migrate it onto your own platform where you have control over the marketing. And you're going to do a much better job at marketing than what Etsy will do for these small businesses. Let's go ahead and take a look at some products and I'll show you how to validate the demand and proof on these Etsy products. The first page that's really important is just their homepage alone. And one thing to be aware of is the homepage will vary depending on the country that you're in. And if you want to see different homepages, you can actually change region. So normally I'm in the US, but currently I'm in Australia, but you can kind of change that however you'd like. First, if we scroll to today's big deals, we're going to start seeing some really interesting products. What we want to kind of look for are products that are in a bigger niche if possible, because the products that are in smaller niches, it can be a bit hard to market it to a broad audience on Facebook. So for example, a personalized dog collar, that's a really interesting product. And I haven't really seen anything like this, but the dog audience is really huge. And also this is kind of combining the fashion aspect to dog owners. So it's, as we talked about, combining two overlapping interests. Now, to get an idea of how well a product is selling on Etsy, what I like to do is scroll down and first look at the reviews for a particular item. If you see that it's got over 100 reviews just for the specific item, that's a good sign that people are actually buying it and people like it. Now, if we go into the shop, and the way that you can do that is by clicking into this made by and then the shop name link. So if you click into that, we're going to see how many total sales the shop has made. And in certain instances, if you hover over the sales link, you're actually going to be able to click in and see exactly what sold recently. In this case, they disabled the option on their store, but that's still fine because we can look at their featured items and see what they're selling in their store. This is a great way to get some intel on what other items might be interesting in this particular niche. Most shops, they'll narrow down to a specific niche, so you will be able to see a bunch of different items that you can add to your own shop. We can see that the main product for this store is actually just this necklace product for dogs. This gives us a really good insight because we can see they've done around 1,300 sales, and that's not a lot, but it's good enough to validate that people are actually buying the item. Now, if we head over to the reviews tab on the shop, what I like to do is sort it by the most recent reviews, and you will be able to see what people are actually leaving reviews for. And if it's mostly the same product that the review is being left for, that gives us a pretty good insight into what is selling well on the shop. So we can see that their main hero seller is actually this necklace. So I'm going to keep a mental note of this product. I'm going to save this link and potentially add this to our own store. As we can see, if we keep going through the homepage, we're going to see a bunch of other products. If we keep scrolling down on the homepage, we're going to start seeing some different categories. And you can go through each category just to get a better idea of what people are selling and what is doing really well right now. I just stumbled across another really interesting product, which is this solar printing kit. I've personally never seen this product before, but it seems like a product where you can kind of gather leaves and a bunch of random things from the outdoors and then put the print of those items onto a canvas. Now, this is a really interesting product because it kind of combines DIY arts and crafts with people who love the outdoors. So it kind of creates that intersection again that we were talking about. Another great thing about this product is the profit margins are probably really incredible with it because you're essentially just selling paper. Now, let's quickly go onto their shop and just validate the product even more. We can see they've made 45,000 sales and counting. And if we go onto their store, we can see they're basically only selling this solar printing kit. I'm going to save this product and the dog collar as the two products that I have potentially in mind for test. Now, this homepage refreshes every single day, so I highly recommend just coming on every single day with a new homepage just to see more items. Now, you guys might be afraid that a product is personalized, but don't be afraid of that because we can actually find a lot of print on demand suppliers in China who can do basically anything we're asking. Now, I'm going to go over some paid methods. It's not necessary, but if you want to save more time and find winning products quicker, this is probably the way to go. My favorite tool to use when it comes to product research and also later on when we're doing ad concept research is called Winning Hunter. And on this tool, if we hop onto their homepage, they're basically a huge library of Facebook and TikTok ads, and you can spy on basically every single dropshipper that's running ads. By the way, I contacted Winning Hunter and they're giving a huge discount right now. I think it's like 40% off your first 3 months. So definitely click the link in the description if you want to take advantage of the offer. As you can see on our homepage, as you can see on the dashboard, there's already a ton of ads that's showing up. And the thing I like about this compared to going on the Facebook ad library is that everything here is tailored to e-commerce. Whereas if you go onto Facebook ads, you're going to see a bunch of random useless junk and it's just going to take forever for you to find any good product. Now, you could just scroll through this feed by itself and it might give you a bunch of good ideas already, but what I actually like to do is click on the big 5 winners in the US and it'll show us basically all the top products that are selling within the US marketplace. The best metric that I go by on Winning Hunter is the ad scores. So if you see that it says it's winning, it typically means there's a decent amount of ad sets and it's been running for over 7 days, which means this person's likely profitable with that ad. This is really useful because it lets us see what products and angles are working on Facebook ads. And so we can get creative and play around with those products or angles to find our own place in the market. So I actually stumbled across this product, which is a paint by the numbers. This has been a consistently winning product on Facebook for a long time. Basically, it's just a canvas where it's numbered 1 through a couple hundred and you can paint according to the color that it assigns. And at the end of it, you get a cool little painting for your dog. Now, I wouldn't sell this product by itself probably because I'm fairly sure the dog angle is very saturated, but that doesn't necessarily mean that this is a bad product. It just means that specific angle has been used a lot. So we can do a competition analysis and see what angles have been ran and come up with our own angles as well. So the first thing we want to do is go onto the Magic AI tab on Winning Hunter. All we're going to do is search the product that we want to find competition for. So in our case, it's paint by numbers. And another feature that you could use is the image search. So you can download a picture of the product and upload it to Winning Hunter, and it will also detect all the ads that are featuring that specific product. But in our case, we're just going to search the keyword here. We're going to see a bunch of different competitors running this product, and we're going to see the different angles that they're going for. This one is definitely geared towards girls, and you can see that specifically with the type of art that they're promoting. So it's definitely girly art that you could hang on your wall if you're in that niche. We have another angle, and this is more of like an anime type angle. So this is targeting the anime niche. That also works. We have another one that's doing famous paintings. So this one's like a Van Gogh paint by the numbers painting. Here we have another angle, which is Islamic paint by the numbers, which is pretty interesting. So essentially what we're doing is we're going through all of the competition, and we want to analyze basically every single person that's running a paint by the numbers. Ultimately, what we want to do is target an angle that hasn't been run before. Now, in terms of coming up with your own ideas, we can hop back on Etsy and search the same product up. So you can see here we have paint by the numbers. What we're going to do is go onto some of these shops and look at the photo reviews to see what other customers are doing with the product besides just pets. And right away, I can see that one of the customers, they're making a lot of these like military or platoon related paint by the numbers, which is really unique. And I haven't seen anything like this before. And I know that the military is a huge audience in the US. So this might be a really cool product for military couples or people in the military in general. The whole idea here is you want to get a bunch of different angles like this for your store. And ultimately, the way that we're going to sell the product is by targeting a specific type of customer and really speaking to them in our marketing messaging. And again, if we go back on Winning Hunter, you're just going to see so many proven winning products. And this is a huge opportunity for you to come in and make it interesting. So for example, I've been seeing this push-up board for years, and it's consistently been a hot winning product. And I really think maybe if we modify this product to cross-pollinate it, it might appeal to a different audience overall. A quick idea that just came to me for one of these products is, what if we change this push-up board to a push-up board specifically for anime lovers? And how we could do that is by putting prints that are related to different animes on the board, and that could appeal to a completely different demographic that might have not previously liked this product. You might be wondering how we're actually going to go ahead and make that product happen. There's a lot of different ways that we can come up with a mock-up or minimal viable product to start making ads, but I'll cover that a little bit later in this video. So the whole idea here is we're going to find a bunch of different products to import into our store, and then we're going to use AI to create our own iterations of the product. Now, this product doesn't necessarily have to exist in the market or on Alibaba or AliExpress. The whole point is we want to be able to create ads with it and get some preliminary data by validating it on Facebook ads before we actually go and figure out how to source a product. Now, if the product doesn't exist, that's totally fine, because for the most part, you can manufacture anything in China. And if it's not anything super complicated, you can get samples made for under $500. So to actually import all the products, we're going to go to a website called Poki, and you can access it by typing in poki.app or going on to the roadmap and clicking the link for Poki. And once we're on here, we're going to click Start on Shopify. And all we're going to do is create a new account or sign in with Google. Once we've signed into Poki with our Google account, all we have to do is click Add Store. And then we enter our Shopify store URL. And the way to get that is if we go back onto our store, we go into the settings, and we're going to see this code right here. So we're going to copy that code and we're going to paste it directly into Poki. Now, for the second part, to get your access token, it's a little bit more complicated, but Poki, they provide a very in-depth tutorial on how to get this token. The way we're going to get it is by going back to our dashboard on Shopify and navigating to the apps. And then we're going to do app and sales channel settings. And in here, you're going to see a button that says develop apps. We're going to click this, and then we're going to do allow custom app development. And then we're going to create an app. And for the app name, all we have to type in is Poki. What we're going to do once we've come to the screen is configure admin API scopes. And then we're going to search product. And we're going to tick all these following fields. And once you've selected all of them, you should have 8 correctly selected. And you have to make sure all of them are selected, otherwise the app won't properly install. Once we're good, we just click save. And once it's saved, all you do is click install app. Once you've installed the app, you're going to see a API access token. I'm not going to reveal it because this is sensitive data, but you're going to click reveal token once, copy this and paste it into your Poke access token field. Once it's inputted, then we're going to click connect. Okay, great. So once you've connected it, you can see that the store is active and all we have to do is click into it and activate our subscription. And it's super cheap. So it's $2.95 a month and there's a 2-day free trial. For the most part, if you want to import all your products within the first 2 days, you can feel free to do that and then cancel your trial. But for $2.95, I always have random products that I like to add to my store. So I just keep it going. Once we're in the Poke app, all we need to do is enter the URL of the products that we want to import. So for example, the Fabulove bracelet kit is the first product that we're going to import. I'm just going to click import product. And we can see that it's been automatically imported. Now we're going to proceed to do the same with all of the other products. And the idea here, you guys, is we're going to import multiple products, but we're going to test one product at a time in our store. So this store is technically going to be a single product store. We're just having a few extra products in here just in case the first product doesn't work. We can really easily pivot it to the next product. But the first thing we're going to do is actually make this product more tailored to us and a little bit more branded. And this means that we're going to modify the image using AI and make a completely hypothetical product. And you might be wondering how we're actually going to find the supply and demand for this product. That is something that you don't have to worry about until you make your first sale. And the reason for that is we really just want to validate the demand for the product before we put any more effort into figuring out how to source it. With that being said, if you do make sales on your first few products, all we're going to do is cancel the order and refund the customer. And what we can tell them is we're currently out of stock and we are happy to give you a discount code when we're back in stock. That way you can still recover some of the customers who initially purchased. But that acts as a great proof of demand for your product. The way that I imagine it is if there is a line of customers waiting at your door to buy this product, of course, you're going to put in the extra effort to figure out how to actually produce it. So the products are actually in our store and we can go to edit them directly. So you can see everything's in here. So we're going to actually download all of our pictures on Shopify. The way that you can do it is by going to your product and then clicking on the picture and clicking download. We're going to do this with all the product photos that might have any logos on it. And we're going to use AI to recraft them, add our own branding, and just make it look higher quality overall. So what we're going to do is go into a tool called recraft.ai. You can check this link on the roadmap and open it up. And what we're going to do is drag our picture in. And immediately you can see that there's branding from another company on here. What we want to do is generate something similar, but add our own logo to it. So when we paste our picture in, all we have to do is choose photorealism as the image model. And if you want to, you can extract the prompt and modify the prompt so that there's no text on there at all. And to do that, we just want to add in somewhere on the prompt that this product has no visible text on it. And in any other sections that might have a label text, we just want to delete it. And for the slider here, you might not want to go completely identical because it's going to try to copy everything from the image. I think what we're going to do is make it quite similar, right around the middle. Now we're going to click modify image. Okay, so we've gone ahead and generated 2 versions of the original box. You can see here, this one is DIY cheese kit, and it's just a plain box, which probably means it's going to be pretty easy to recreate. I personally like this box here. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually erase some of the text that was messed up using the erase tool. So we're going to click erase area, and we're going to proceed to do this with all of the other things that might be messed up in here. Okay, so now we have our box with no branding on it. We want our own logo on it. And the way that we're gonna do that is actually go to an app called Photo Room. If you click the link on the roadmap, you're gonna find Photo Room. Typically, I would do this on my phone, but because I'm recording with my phone, I have to show you guys on the desktop, which is a little bit more limited, but we should be able to get everything done. So once you've created a Photo Room account and created your subscription, it's really cheap. It's like $5 a week, and you only really need it for 1 week while you're making everything. What we're gonna do is click the AI tool that says logo, and we're gonna describe our business. Our business name is called Wildly Original, a general e-commerce store that also sells cheese kits. Okay, so we've come up with some logos. And so in this case, I think I like this one the most, but you guys can keep generating until you come up with one that really fits what you're looking for. To download the logo, we're going to click in and you can see you can actually get this logo with no background. We can save the logo to our brand kit and then use the image. Once we're inside, we're actually going to delete the white color background by clicking into it and then clicking erase. So now we can see the background is transparent. All we're going to do is click download and change the format to PNG. Now we've downloaded our logo, we're going to drag that back into Recraft. And you can see you have a completely transparent logo. What we're going to do is we're actually going to overlay our logo somewhere on the packaging that makes it look fitting. But to do this, we actually need to convert this picture into a mockup, and you can do that by clicking this little t-shirt button up here. Now that it's converted to a mockup, let's adjust the size of our logo so it's not too big, and let's drag it into the picture. And you can see that our logo is getting mapped onto the box in the correct angle. So I'm actually going to size this down a little bit, and I think it would look good to put it on the side. And of course, we're going to adjust the orientation. You can do that by hovering over one of the corners and just like dragging it left or right. And so now we can see we have our own Wildly Original logo on there, and we have our DIY cheese kit. Now, all we need to do is kind of repeat the same thing with any other pictures that we might deem as important. I managed to generate another image that was relatively similar to the original image I generated, and I've cleaned it up so there's no extra text or any weird stuff on the picture. We're going to insert two things into this image here. First is text that just it says instructions. You can create text just by typing T, and then you can see that you can type any text you want. And of course, you can change the font to whatever is fitting for you. Once you've made your text, you need to make sure you flatten the text because otherwise you won't be able to drag it into your image. So now that we flattened it, we can drag it in and you can see that it's huge, but okay, there we go. We've inserted this into the picture. Okay, so that looks, there we go. So we've inserted that, and the next thing we're gonna insert is our logo, and we're gonna put this on the inside of the box when it opens. And now we have two nice pictures of our product. The next thing we wanna do is probably just export these pictures. So you can click export as PNG for both of them. And we're gonna bring one of the pictures back into Photo Room. And we're gonna bring this specific picture where the full product is in view into Photo Room. And you see right away, it's removed the background. And we can actually change the background using AI. So if you click on the white portion of the image, you can click change background, and then you can do AI backgrounds. And you can see right away there's going to be a bunch of like random options here that honestly look pretty decent. So like for example, this one, that looks pretty good. I will say I already like this, so I'm just going to save this one. But typically with the backgrounds I make, I like to make it a little bit more themed. But in my case, I'm going to create my own background. So we're just going to click create background. And then here we're going to actually type in a manual prompt. I'm gonna say on a wooden countertop with cheese, milk, and wine. And I'm gonna click generate image. And we can see that it's a little bit more fitting. We got wine, we got some cheese here. I like this one the most. So we're actually gonna use this and we're gonna download it. And the cool thing is if you click templates, you're actually gonna be able to create a bunch of pre-made image ads for your product. So for example, you can see here, if I click this template right here, latest arrival, it's gonna put our product into a completely made for you banner, and you can run this as an ad right away. But what we kind of want to make is some testimonials. So you can see here, a DIY cheese kit testimonial. And of course, we need to replace this image with an actual person. And I'm gonna generate a person and just see what happens when I say cheesemaker. Okay, I'm just gonna use this picture. It looks pretty good. If there's any artifacts or weird things, you can just click the retouch tool and use AI to fix it up. But honestly, to me, this picture looks pretty damn good. And we're gonna change the text here so that it says something more relevant to our product. And this is where you can get really deep into understanding your customers. So you can go on ChatGPT, Reddit, different forums to understand why people even make cheese in the first place. Where I like to go is actually the reviews of the Etsy shop itself. And I'll just read through a bunch of the reviews until I find one that is really relatable and relevant to my buyer. So I can see here, I'm hoping that the simplicity and professional instructions in this kit will make all the difference. I'm gonna copy this and bring it into my testimonial. So I've changed it slightly to make it short enough to fit into our testimonial, and all it says is the instructions in this kit make all the difference. And I like to add a little touch by adding the Etsy reviewer's name in there and then putting a random initial for their last name. So you can see here, the instructions in this kit make all the difference, Deborah L. And then I'm gonna make this product a bit bigger so it looks a little bit nicer. And you might be wondering how we can actually make this look a little bit more realistic. All we have to do is click the shadows. Great, so now we have one of our many image ad variations. And of course, later on, we want to test out more than just an image because video ads tend to convert a lot better. When it comes to actually creating videos with a product, I would buy the original product off of Etsy, and in parts where there is any branding, just don't show it on your camera and only show the actual contents of the product. And later on, once we've validated there's demand, we can actually remake the video with all of our own branding on it. So you guys can see we have our product listing done. If I click preview and just look at the product, it actually looks really good and pretty legit. And you can see I've kept some of these graphics in here just because, I mean, these are basically stock pictures. But I definitely recommend you don't just directly steal these pictures from Etsy listing. I would just recreate them with AI and, you can keep the text the same, but just change the pictures. Something like this can be easily created using a Canva template. But just for the sake of time, I won't show you guys how to do that because it's honestly pretty straightforward if you just go on Canva. You can see here is our completed listing, our DIY cheese kit, and then we have some text describing it, right? But of course we can see that the store, it's pretty plain and there's not much added to it right now. So what we actually want to do is go back onto Atlas, and you can open this link in the description, click build my free store. We're going to install this app and we're going to click install. Now that we're inside, we're going to click generate store using existing Shopify products, and we're going to select our completed listing. So for us, it's the DIY cheese making kit. I'm going to click generate. We're going to select all of the pictures that we want to use. Click continue. And the store name, and for the store name, we're going to use the general name that we came up with earlier, which is Wildly Original. As for the product title, we probably want it a little bit simpler. So DIY cheese making kit. There we go. And that is basically all we need. Everything else is AI generated and it looks fantastic. And if we scroll down a little bit more, you can see even testimonials. And then of course the trust badges, we need to change that, but we can get to that later. If we scroll down, We can see all this copy about the cheese making kit, what makes it different, right? And reasons why you should trust us. Boom. And wow, how quick was that, you guys? How insane. Shout out to Sebastian for making this product. Probably the craziest store builder that I've ever seen. Anyways, we're gonna click continue and we're gonna select the basic plan. And that's gonna let us start our trial and have our optimized landing page. I'm just gonna approve the charge here. And perfect, we've imported our first product into the store and it's working hard on building the rest of the theme. All we gotta do now is click view your store and we see that the Atlas theme has been added. We're just gonna click publish on that. And then we're gonna click customize. Then we're gonna go into theme settings and then we're gonna click app embeds on the left corner here and we're gonna click and tick Atlas. And that's all we need to do. Just click save and we have the home page built for the store. For the most part, we don't really need a home page. We're gonna be primarily focused on our product page, but it's awesome that they already build out the home page for us anyways. So in this case, this first image looks a little bit goofy, so I'm just gonna change this, select an image from my library. I'm just gonna hide this partners tab for now, and that is basically our entire store completely built out. So once we've fine-tuned our product page a little bit, we're gonna actually go back into the store and we're gonna go to the settings and head over to the policies tab. In here, we're just gonna insert our policy. So you can see return and refund policy. We're just gonna insert the template and you're gonna wanna make sure to read through it and include the missing information in the brackets. So once you're done, you just click publish, and we just wanna do this with all of the templates that we do have. As for the shipping policy, you can generate it with ChatGPT and fill it in. The main thing that you wanna make sure of is that you are cognizant of how you are shipping the product. So for our case, we're gonna be shipping this DIY cheese kit probably from the US. So that means we're gonna have slightly faster shipping. So I can actually add in that my product will be delivered from 5 to 7 days. If you guys aren't in the US, but you wanna sell a food item like this, you can actually join my community, and there are tons of other people in the US, tons of other students that would love to partner up and help you make your product come to life. But if your product is not something you are assembling yourself, such as the fridge magnet that I detailed here, then what you would put is probably 14 days shipping, because that's typically how long it takes to ship products from China. So I've generated a quick policy on ChatGPT. You can see here, all I said was generate a shipping policy for Wildly Original, which sells cheese kits within 5 to 7 days in the USA. And it just generated something nice for me. As long as all of this generally makes sense, we're good, and we're gonna paste it into our shipping policy. And we're gonna click publish. Okay guys, so we have our entire store built out. The landing page looks fantastic. And now we need to do the fun part, which is running some ads. Of course, I mentioned earlier that we don't have any actual footage of the product because we don't have it in person. But the good thing is we can get creative and take clips from the internet and kind of stitch it together to get the point across of our product. To do that, I've actually gone ahead and found a bunch of different creatives from Winning Hunter, and I'm using those as inspiration to create my new videos. I've actually made a nice little template in Notion to organize all of my creatives and basically recreate them for my product. So as you can see here, here's a link to a recontextualization AI that I created in ChatGPT. All you would do is take the original transcript of the ad and add your context alongside that original transcript, and then tell ChatGPT to generate the new script. So the new script, or the final script, is going to be very similar to the ad concept that you found on Winning Hunter, or you could find it also on the Facebook ad library. And the cool thing is, Winning Hunter, they're actually releasing a transcription feature very soon, so You don't have to go on Descript or one of these other transcriber apps to get the transcript of your. So we can see here, this is one of the original creatives that I wanted to replicate for my cheese kit. You can see that she is talking about the product and showing it off, which unfortunately we cannot do until we actually get the product in hand. But in the meanwhile, we can actually just transcribe this video and take the script and use other sorts of visuals to get the point across. You can see here, our final script says, "So how involved is the wildly original cheese making kit? I'll be honest, I never made cheese before. I've in fact never even thought about making cheese from scratch." And so it's very similar to the original. So how involved are the Woobles kits? I'll be honest, I never crocheted. In fact, I never touched a crochet hook before the Woobles. So it's very similar, but it's adapted to fit our context. What I've gone ahead and done is go into 11 Labs and I pasted my script in, and you can see this is one of my many scripts that I've written. And all I did was use the Luna Bubbly BFF voice. You can choose a bunch of different voices. This one just sounded really natural and pretty friendly. So I used this to basically generate all of my lines of text. One tip for you guys is to use the studio feature on 11 Labs. If you try to one-shot your script, sometimes there's weird artifacting where the voice is really slow, or they talk too fast, or they say something wrong. Generating the voice line by line makes it a lot smoother. And so once you're done, you just click the export, and I've actually gone ahead and dragged my audio files in here. So I'm gonna quickly play it so you guys can hear what it sounds like.
So how involved is the wildly original cheese making kit? I'll be honest, I've never made cheese before. I've in fact never even thought about making cheese from scratch.
See, this is a really, really good voice, and honestly, I cannot distinguish it from a real person. So perfect, now that we have the audio file of our ad, we can go ahead and hop into our next app called Captions and generate our UGC AI characters. Now that we have our natural audio generation, we're going to actually put it into an app called Captions AI. I can't show you guys because I'm recording with my phone at the moment, but I'm gonna put something up on the screen to show you guys the echo feature on Captions. And basically what it does is it allows you to upload your own audio file, and their AI creator will actually lip sync to that audio file. The reason I choose Captions is because they're a lot cheaper than a lot of the other UGC services, and they tend to have a pretty good variety of UGC creators. You can also do the same with the UGC creators on CapCut, but I personally like the Captions creators a little bit better. I want to hop in and give you guys an idea of how good the creative can actually be coming from one of these UGC creators. So in CapCut, the first thing I've done is literally just go on TikTok, scour the web, and download all of the B-roll that I can find related to couples and cheese making. So you can see we have a ton of cheese making footage that I've just dropped into CapCut. I just use this space in the front to organize all my B-roll, is what you would call it. And then a little bit further on the right of the timeline, this is where I put my individual edits. So I'm gonna play a creative that's generated by one of the Captions AI UGC creators, and then I'm also gonna show you a creative that was made by the default CapCut AI creator.
Ever wished you could escape to Italy for a night without the plane ticket? I've always dreamt of indulging in fresh Italian cheese like they do in little countryside trattorias. So when I discovered this DIY cheese making kit, I had to give it a try.
I mean, come on, guys. You probably didn't even notice that she wasn't real. This was made with the Captions UGC creator, by the way. And the voice sounds perfect. Her expressions look perfect. Everything looks amazing. You would not be able to tell, like absolutely not. And you can see here, this frame, I actually did find a cheese making kit on TikTok. It just didn't happen to be the same as mine, but I don't think people are gonna really care that much. This is one of the creators that I generated using the CapCut AI UGC. And for the AI avatar on CapCut, you just go into the AI avatars tab here, and you're gonna be able to see a bunch. The one thing I don't really like about the CapCut AI UGC creator is you can't really get the voice to mimic what this person actually sounds like, whereas Captions they actually like re-transcribe that voice to sound like the original creator. With that being said, I'm going to quickly play the video so you can see for yourself.
Are you a cheese lover? Everyone says you need to visit fancy restaurants or buy overpriced gourmet cheese to get that rich, creamy flavor. But they're all wrong. Last year, I found a way to make fresh, delicious mozzarella and ricotta right in my own kitchen. And to this day, I still don't need any fancy equipment. I don't spend hours cooking, and I definitely don't need to be a pro chef. In fact, I do it all with this DIY cheese-making kit. You can create fresh mozzarella, ricotta, and even farmer's cheese.
But yeah, so you guys can see that is basically the whole process. We get the UGC creator video, and then we overlay the creator, remove the background, overlay the creator in a corner somewhere on the left or the right side. And essentially, we're just putting a bunch of like cuts of the footage that we found together. Boom, just like that. So I've actually gone ahead and made like, 6 different creatives with different creators. Honestly, looks pretty solid. Like, this can pass. Like the whole idea is we need to get the point across of what our product is. And I think our videos do a perfect job of that. Final stretch, we are in the last part, which is running our ads. So the first thing we want to do is install the Facebook and Instagram sales channel. You can do that by searching Facebook on the Shopify search bar and then clicking this and installing the app. Once you are on this page, you go down and click Get Started with Ads Only. If you want to get started with Shop and Ads, you can, but you just have to verify your information, and it might take a few days for Shopify payments to accept you. So for me, I'm just going to do Ads Only for now. Now that we're setting it up, we connect our Facebook account. You can see that my Facebook account's connected, and we can create a new business portfolio. Once we create the new business portfolio, we want to make sure the preference for sharing data is maximum. This allows Facebook to match up our customers from their devices really well. So if they view our ad on desktop, they're going to see it on their phone, and they basically won't be able to get away from us. So we're going to click that and click Save. And then we're going to create a new meta pixel. Okay, so once we've created it, we click Confirm and click Agree. And we're going to submit this for review. Once you create your account, you're going to assign people and you're going to assign yourself to it. So boom. Once we open up our ad account, we're going to click Create, and then we're going to go into the sales objective campaign, click Continue, and we're going to do a Advantage Plus shopping campaign. There's a few things that we want to do. First, we want to name the campaign. Typically, my naming convention is the name of the product first, and then the purpose of the campaign. And in our case, it's creative testing, and it is a Advantage Plus campaign. We're going to make sure that our website is selected for the conversion, and the data set is the same as the one that is on your Shopify store. Then if we keep scrolling down, we want to make sure the top locations that are included in our targeting is United States, Canada, Australia, and United Kingdom. Now, in terms of the daily budget, this is where you have to determine it based on the price of your product. If your product is $50, I would typically recommend spending around $100. So the rule of thumb here is spending at least 2x your product price to start to get some results. Now, our cheese making kit is $49, so I'm gonna set the budget of the campaign to $100. Now, this is $100 per day, so that means I will only need to spend for about 1 day to get any significant results. Yes, we don't need to be turning our campaign on for multiple days at a time. At the end of the day, it's all based on impressions. So if you spend $100, you're gonna be able to see a certain amount of impressions. And if your creatives are good and your product offering matches with what the market wants, they're going to purchase your product. Now, there are some caveats to this. If your product is something that requires people to consider for a while before coming back to purchase, such as a product that is more than $100, then this is definitely something where you want to kind of leave the ad running for a little bit longer and spread it out for a longer duration. But of course, our product right here is only $50, and it's more of like an impulse purchase. Now, under the campaign, we're actually going to separate our creatives by the angle. An example of one of our angles for this DIY cheese making kit is DIY cheese making for couples, right? So the whole idea is this will bring you closer with your significant other, and ultimately it's going to create a fun and loving environment for you guys to share your bond. So angle one would be couples. Then you would drag in all of your creatives that are related to couples. You can play around with these formats, but typically I like to do single image or video. You can see here it's connected to the wrong Facebook page, but I'll just use Medjool Days as an example because I don't want to create a new Facebook page right now. As for the website, you want to make sure you put your actual website, which is the DIY Cheesemaking Kit website. We're going to set up our ad creative and add some video ads in. So we're going to have our source URL. You can see that I don't even have my domain purchased yet. For you guys, you would actually go into Shopify and search domain and purchase the domain that you are trying to buy. So you can see here, we would type in Wildly Original, and then we would just purchase that domain straight through Shopify. And it would be $16 for the whole year, which is a pretty good deal. We're going to use our .myshopify URL just for illustration purposes. Okay. As for the primary text and the headline, these are all things that you can easily generate with ChatGPT. So we have this, just going to copy and paste it in. I'm actually going to change my description because it's going to look a bit weird when it's this long. So I'm just going to do free shipping on orders over 50. Okay, so we have a few variations that are automatically generated from Advantage Plus, which is pretty nifty. I'm going to select all these other headlines here. And we're going to change the call to action to shop now. Click next. And then we're going to go ahead and upload our creatives that are specifically related to couples. Now, I only uploaded one creative, but you guys are going to have a bunch of different creatives per angle. I typically suggest doing about 10 creatives per angle to really get a solid grasp on if that angle is working or not. Because for all you know, you could have a bad creative and that could be the reason why that angle is not working. So yeah, you definitely want to make sure your creatives are good for every single angle and you have a good amount of variety for Facebook to choose from. Okay, so we can see that our ad is uploaded in here and we can actually preview it. Looks pretty solid. The only thing is obviously my page name is wrong, but you guys can figure that out and have your own page on here. What you want to do is just quickly duplicate this so you can have multiple angles. So now I'm going to have angle 2 creatives, and this is for solo, right? And then I'm going to upload a different creative for solo as well. Now, the last thing for you to do is hit publish and let those ads run for about 1 day to get your results. If you wanted to spread your budget throughout 2 days, that's fine as well. But remember, the main metric that you want to look for is the amount that's total spent on the campaign, because without adequate data, you're not going to really be able to make the proper decisions on whether this is a good product or not. Okay, so I'm in one of my other ad accounts where I've spent quite a bit of money, and here I'm going to show you guys how to actually read the metrics. The first thing we want to do is go into the columns and create a custom column. The columns that you want to keep are results, budgets, clicks, click-through rate, cost per click, CPM, CTR, purchase ROAS. You're going to uncheck both of these here, and then amount spent, date created, and engagement ranking. Those are the only 12 columns that you use. And I want you to do me a favor and name it M5 columns. Now we're here. I know it's a lot to look at, but I'm going to break this down for you guys and explain how this works. Let's say hypothetically you spent $100. In terms of the metrics, the first thing that we want to look at is how much money you've spent on a campaign. Now, if your product is $50 and you've only spent $50 and you don't really have any sort of purchases or results to look at, it means probably you don't have enough data. So you want to spend 2x your product price. In our case, we've definitely spent way over 2x our product price here on our initial testing campaign. And you can see here, we've actually separated it by week because we didn't really have any specific angles that we were testing. This was mostly just to test our creatives because we already dialed in on our angle. In the first week of testing our creatives, we tested over 100 ads actually. And Out of all of the 100 ads, we actually only found one ad that was a true winner. And that happens to be the ad that has the most amount spent on it. You can see that since May, we've spent about $19,000 on that single creative. The next metric that we really want to pay attention to is the return on ad spend. So if you spend 2x your product price, you should be seeing at least a 2 to 5x return on ad spend on your best performing creative. If you aren't, it means two things. Either your creative isn't good enough or your product isn't incentivizing enough. CPM is basically your cost to show your ad to 1,000 people. Now you can see here for us, we have a $12 CPM, which is pretty good. Around like $10 to $15 CPMs are pretty solid. If you get a CPM that's too low, it might mean a lack of competition, and that's also not a good thing because it means this might not be a profitable niche. Or it could mean you hit gold and it's an extremely profitable niche. The CPM will vary depending on your niche. The more competitive it is, the higher your CPM is going to be. However, this isn't the sole indicator of whether you're doing well or not. You see, you could have a high CPM, but be very profitable because the offer that you're selling is selling like hotcakes to your customers. Now, you can definitely lower your CPM by having better creatives. So that's definitely something you should focus on if you're seeing astronomically high CPMs. The next thing that you want to look at is your CTR. This is your click-through rate, and basically it determines how many people who saw your ad would click through to actually view your offer. Now, this doesn't always mean that the ad is insanely good. It could just mean you have something really clickbaity. Like you're saying, click on this link and you're gonna get everything for free, right? You could completely say that and get a high CTR, but having a high CTR in itself doesn't really do anything if your offer doesn't meet the expectation of what people clicked into the page for. A typical good range for a click-through rate is anything above 1%. I haven't seen anything below 1% be a winner, so you definitely want something a bit higher. You can see here for our winning creative, it was a 2.65%. A higher click-through rate can definitely help you with a lower cost per acquisition. You definitely want to keep an eye on your ad account and make sure you're not overspending and also you're not underspending. Now, you're going to review the results, see if it's doing good. If your first week you get no results, really have a hard conversation with yourself. Maybe it is too niche of a product, and in that case, you're going to have to find alternative channels to sell your product, like going on Etsy or making TikToks about your product. But our whole goal here is to start making sales and start validating our product. Once you've gotten about like 10 to 20 sales on the product, and of course you've either pre-sold them or refunded those customers, then that's enough validation for you to go ahead and actually order the bulk inventory. Try to order the minimum quantity that you need, and you can actually dropship it from China, or you can ship it to yourself, to your own house if you're based in the US, or ship it to a 3PL in the US to start fulfilling those orders afterwards. Okay, in terms of sourcing the product, there's a few ways to go about it. You can go on Alibaba and just look for your product, or you can find a private sourcing agent. You can find sourcing agents on Upwork, Facebook, or Fiverr, or click the link in the description to use my private supplier. They'll take care of you for sure. All right, guys, congrats. You've stuck through to the end of the video, and now you know exactly how to build a branded dropshipping store the same way that I've done with my 7-figure brands. Now, you might be wondering why I'm actually making this video completely for free, and it's because I'm planning to build a bunch more of these branded dropshipping stores. But of course, I can't do it alone. If you do end up being successful with one of these stores, definitely hit me up by email at steven@manifest5.com, and we can talk about potential arrangements for me to invest in your business and help you scale to 6 and 7 figures and beyond. Now, if you're still getting started and you want more tailored one-to-one guidance from me directly, you can actually apply for my mentorship program where I help students go from zero to their first $100,000 online. Now, the program is selective, so I don't take every single person, but if you think you're a good fit, definitely hit the link down below and apply with my team. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.